Hello everybody and welcome back to Real Wasted. I'm Pat.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Sean. Very, very excited about this.
Why?
Because we're reviewing Star Wars.
Yeah, episode 1.
Fuck!
Hate leads to suffering.
I don't think we need to explain why this movie is so bad. But just as a crash course, imagine if you loved something and everything about it was taken away from it.
That's the perfect reason to exploit it. Drinking games, please?
Sean is not happy about this.
First drinking game. Qui-Gon Jinn. Every time you look at this movie and you say to yourself, fucking why?
Which leads us to number 2.
Number 2 is Jar Jar Drinks. That was her. That was her pun. Jar Jar Binks is a thing that was introduced into pop culture through this movie, and we are still dealing with it 16 years later.
Excuse me.
Number 3, CGI PO. Anytime there is an abundance of CGI, take a drink.
Especially horrible CGI. Number 4 is the Phantom Dumbass. If there is one pariah of this movie, I will give him that title of pariah. It is Jake Lloyd. Anytime Anakin Skywalker shows up on screen and he says something or does something that either the universe has to revolve around him or it's just terrible and makes you cringe, take a drink for that.
I'm the only human who can do it.
And finally, Darth Maul, spelled M-A-L-L. Anytime a character pops up on the screen that was created by George Lucas for the sole purpose of turning it into a toy, you will drink.
Does this include the pod racing?
Don't even fucking get me started, but yes.
Don't get him started. This review is going to be 40 minutes.
Well, we're off to a good
If
start.
you are lucky.
We'll just get this over with. We'll see you guys when it's over, unless one of us has run out of the room in rage. Cheers! This movie could have not existed.
Aside from the fact that you had Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi and a couple of droids, there's very little about this movie that reflects anything about Star Wars.
If this movie had not existed, if they had just done 2 prequels, it started with Attack of the Clones, what was missing?
What is the most frustrating thing about this movie is the fact that if you look underneath the awful acting, the terrible CGI, there actually is a story here. This movie could have been very good, and it missed the mark on almost every single level. You have one of the most successful film franchises in history. You have an endless supply of money, an endless supply of resources, and no good reason for it to be so terrible.
Don't do that again.
I can buy the notion that it would not live up to the originals because the originals are so good. This was just an awful movie, and there is absolutely no excuse for it.
I would like to disagree with you because I don't see a goddamn redeeming quality about this movie. Everything that is cool about every character you loved is stripped from it. It feels the need to not only take what you like and try to give an explanation for it.
Always two there are, a master and an apprentice.
It has all of the characters that you know from the future meet as kids, and I hate that. I don't want to see Darth Vader as a little kid. You know, I like him with the cape and the helmet and everything. That's kind of what makes him so cool. And you're taking that away from him and making him kind of a whiny, pissant little kid.
Will I ever see you again?
I wanted to see the evil brewing. And maybe that was the idea, was that it was supposed to be that this kid was so young and so innocent, but they didn't do a good enough job of that.
In my opinion, it makes for a better story because you see him hardened as his life goes on. That's not what I have the problem with. I have the problem with this fucking movie because everything about it is so wrong. Terrible direction, terrible CGI, terrible acting, And the way that the lines are delivered are so juvenile. Even from good actors like Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman. Now, Natalie Portman is a fantastic actress. She plays this like she's a goddamn mannequin.
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
Well,
She's a
she
mannequin
told?
for Anakin. And she's terrible. Now, I believe that she was told. I believe that she was told. And that's where this fucking movie submarines.
You're George Lucas, you're supposed to be the best of the best. Put your best out there.
George Lucas, in reality, has made 4 good movies. The original Star Wars trilogy and American Graffiti.
And he didn't even direct the last 2 movies.
So you want to talk about direction? He's pulled it off twice.
Are we just reducing the king of Hollywood to catching lightning in a bottle?
He's not the king of Hollywood. I don't consider George Lucas...
He's built up to be because of the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
He created a phenomenon.
When you just compare the originals with the re-releases, you can see exactly when George Lucas has full control, it doesn't always work out great. If this movie proved nothing to me, it's that pod racing should not exist. It meant absolutely nothing, and there's a reason why they didn't even include a mention of it in the later movies.
Has anybody ever seen a pod race?
Think about the time that this came out. You know, you had your original 3. This was the big comeback, and they had to pitch this to a new generation. You had to keep everything that you love about the originals and then hook a younger audience. They did so many things that they could turn into toys, video games, things that the kids would like, things that they could sell.
So much of it was so obviously
for
only
sure.
for that.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
From the rolling droids, because they couldn't have stormtroopers yet for some reason, and because they had to have a new kind of happy race, they introduced the Gungans.
So, good being home!
I think it was because somebody made a bet where they were like, I can make something wimpier than an Ewok, and then another person went, I'll bet you $5 million you can't. And now that guy is in charge of Lucasfilms.
Is that where the budget for the CGI went, that $5 mil?
This seems like a half-finished movie. The sets looked so fake. The characters that they were interacting with looked so out of place. Everything looked like it was missing something. Like you were saying before, it felt like it was missing a layer.
Like a layer. It popped off the background so much like a video game. It didn't blend. The texture was just so different. Anything that was CGI, it just didn't feel like it was a part of the world that it was in.
There have been Star Wars video games that looked better than this.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
Not just in the cutscenes, but in actual gameplay. Everybody talks about Jar Jar. I don't think we need to talk about what was wrong with him. All of the Gungans looked terrible and talked like nobody talks.
Gungans no liking outsiders, so don't expect a warm welcome.
The racial stereotypes.
Oh,
yeah.
awful.
Everybody thinks about Jar Jar Binks. And for about half this
You mean
movie,
Aunt Jemima Jar Jar? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Your support is well seen.
But what a lot of people don't realize, too, the Viceroy.
Victory.
The outfit, the accent is clearly of Asian descent.
Yeah.
And they talk about how they try to create this commercial powerhouse, for a lack of better term, and how they're failing. I mean,
And the trade.
Right. There's enough that takes you out of the film. The last thing you need to be worried about in a Star Wars movie
is whether or not it's
racial
racist.
stereotypes. So we drank 71 times.
Yes.
This was quite a bit.
Most of which was related, though, to how bad the movie production was. A lot of it was related to bad direction, bad effects.
And Jar Jar Binks.
And Jar Jar Binks. A lot of Jar
I
Jar
think
Binks.
we actually kind of condensed Jar Jar into Qui-Gon
You
Jinn
had to
at
after
one
a
point.
while.
Yeah.
And bad CGI, because he just was both.
This is a bad Star Wars movie as well as just being a bad movie.
Which is why we drink.
So if you'd like us to review anything similar to Episode 1, you're a terrible person. But if you'd like us to review something that we actually like, please let us know. Hashtag RealWasted. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, you can follow us all on Twitter down here. I'm Pat.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Sean.
Cheers.
Han shot first.